You wore the Cleveland Browns uniform. What'd you think of that helmet, Brady?
You know, Dan, as a longtime Browns fan, I think I was a bit brainwashed to think that it looked good, but those colors just it's not the best uniform in the NFL. Actually, it might be the worst looking, but not necessarily the helmet that, you know, I think for style points you'd want to wear.
What was the best uniform you wore?
That's a tough one. It might be Seattle. I don't know why. I just feel like they kind of always have cool uniforms. You know, they're out there and with the different colors and all that.
But when you were in Seattle, did you understand Russell Wilson, how good he was?
Yeah, and I think it takes you to be out there with him because he makes a play in practice, and I was only there for training camp preseason, but he'd make a play with his legs where you'd walk away and go, no other quarterback in the NFL can do that. Like, he made a play versus the St. Louis Rams that no one will remember, maybe but me or anyone who watched film. But the offensive line turns Aaron Donald loose, which happened like a bajillion times the other day. And Russell drops back, spins back to his left to avoid him. And then as he's running basically perpendicular to the line of scrimmage, just flicks a ball out to Marshawn Lynch on the sidelines. I think they got like a 1-yard completion out of it. But most quarterbacks would have either gotten sacked or just thrown the ball away. And it was like I think it was during a 2-minute drive at the end. But Russell Wilson not only gets the completion, but Marshawn Lynch gets out of bounds and they even gain a yard if that mattered, if they needed a field goal at the end or something of that nature. But it's no one else in the NFL can make those plays.
Did you ever have a moment on the sidelines where you got yelled at like McElwain did to Fred Taylor's son?
You know what? It was later on, I would say, in my career in college. And Charlie was very diplomatic about it. What he would do, Charlie Weiss would put up his call sheet, and then he would absolutely berate you with a straight face. So no one in the world or on the sidelines knew, besides the people who were standing right next to you or even around in the vicinity that could hear him. So he would usually be pretty calm, but he would just say all sorts of things that you would never want to hear.
Well, give me an idea.
In a very calm manner.
Give me an idea.
It's a little more X-rated with some of the.
But would it be like? So he'd hold it up. He'd be having it like this, and he said, "Brady, you effing I can't believe you're." And then he would just put down the sheet.
Yeah, essentially. I mean, the one he used to always say is, he'd be like, for a smart guy, you could be one dumb mother. and he used to use that one a lot. But I loved him for it because I feel like sometimes it's good. I think some players can take that and use it as motivation. I think others, can't. I was fine with it. It kind of always, got me headed back in the right direction. So.
Brady Quinn, he's calling BYU at UCLA. I'm sure you've looked at the tape of the Bruins freshman quarterback Josh Rosen. Is he the real deal?
Well, I think after the game we had him versus UVA, it sure as heck looked like it. But he looked a little more human versus UNLV last week. It had a little struggle hitting some of those deep balls. But, sometimes, man, it's hard with that little thinner air out there in Las Vegas. You got to be able to adjust to it. But I think he's definitely the real deal when you look at his overall poise. It kind of reminds me of what Mariota did in his first start in the NFL and what Rosen's kind of done. They both have kind of come in there and seamlessly just started playing the position. They're very poised in the pocket. It doesn't seem like pressure bothers them. Extremely accurate, and they know where they want to go with the football. So it's incredible to see what he's able to accomplish as a true freshman. On the flip side, you've got Tanner Mangum, who comes in for Taysom Hill, who has a obviously horrible injury. But he's technically a true freshman, I guess you'd call it, after taking admission, even though he's 21 going on 22 years old. So kind of weird. You got a 18-year-old who's a freshman, and then you got a 21 going on 22-year-old.
But how big a difference is that, those couple of years, when you're starting quarterback at a big school?
Well, I don't know, DP. You tell me, what was the difference when you were 18 and you were 22? I mean, for me,
Not much. I made the same stupid mistakes I did at 22 that I did at 18.
Do you still make some of the same stupid mistakes, Dan?
Yeah. I think I was still a freshman in college at 22 as I was at 18 as well.
Well, I mean, we're talking about a kid. It's not only the fact that he's 21 going on 22 and he's just now starting his collegiate football career, but, I mean, he was in Chile like 3 months ago. where Josh Rosen was probably, was practicing with UCLA and on their campus and going through all this stuff. But I think it's a huge difference, one, maturity-wise. I think some guys' bodies don't fully adjust and really grow into themselves until they're done with college. And talking about you're 21, 22 years old. So that's part of it. And I think as far as just overall, mental maturity and understanding how to handle things in life, not just in football, I think a lot of us would say that, 18 to 22, hopefully you're making a little bit better decisions.
We were looking at Notre Dame as maybe one of those Final Four teams. Now they've lost their starting tailback, and now you lose Zaire. Now you got Kaiser as your backup. What do you think the prospects are for Notre Dame now?
It's interesting. Coming into this year, it's not as if Malik Zaire had a ton of snaps in games, right? He only had the bowl game victory versus LSU, and then he had the second half versus USC, and that was primarily it. Good showings, but not like a ton, not a huge sample size to say really what this Notre Dame team was going to be. I think the difference was he was battling in the spring with a quarterback competition with Everett Golson, so he got a lot of those one reps then, and then obviously coming into training camp, he was the guy. So Deshaun Kaiser kind of lacks those reps, and obviously lacks the game reps. But I mean, look, from what you saw in that small sample size versus UVA, he obviously has ice in his veins because he came in, he threw the game-winning touchdown pass, and obviously he had another one on a field goal fake earlier. So he's done some nice things, and you'd hope that coaching staff can just simplify things for him, allow him to get the ball to a ton of the playmakers that he has around him. But obviously, they even lost another tight end, Durham Smythe, so that's going to hurt them as well.
How does Ohio State not run the table?
I think if they lose to Michigan State, I mean, I don't know about you, but I think Sparty made a pretty big statement versus Oregon this past week. And really, Mark D'Antonio and what he's done with that program has probably been the most, underlooked program in all of college football right now. I mean, I think, if I'm not mistaken, he gave Urban his only loss in the Big Ten a few years ago. And, really, if you look at their production in bowl season as well, what they were able to do last season versus Baylor, I mean, they continually churn out solid wins. They just, have struggled, I guess, at, winning outright the Big Ten. But I think this year they could do it. And I think if they can knock off Ohio State, obviously they're going to be in the college football playoff, but they might be a national championship team.
How big are the guns right now?
I should probably call in with those measurements every day, huh? I don't even know.
Okay, when's the last time you used a tape measure to measure your guns?
Mickey Marotti, who's the strength coach at Ohio State, he used to have us do it like once a year at Notre Dame. He was our strength coach for the first 2 years. So he'd always have us come in and measure your biceps and all that stuff and have some meathead workout. But
well, what was your biggest number? Your biggest number?
I honestly can't remember.
Come on.
I honestly can't remember. Well, someone Google what's a good number.
How about 17?
No, I was bigger than that.
Were your guns too big for you, Brady?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think there's a perception sometimes with quarterbacks that when they look bigger, they're not flexible. They don't have as much mobility and that kind of thing. But
yeah, but you tightened your sleeves a little bit. You made sure the guns were showing.
Well, I mean, obviously you don't want to have loose hanging shirts. Like I used to get on Ken Dorsey all the time. You remember back then, the Miami Hurricane heydays.
He had no arms.
Baggy, long white shirt.
He had no arms though.
Yeah, but it's not as aerodynamic either. If you think about it, he's trying to whip that ball around there. He's got all that drag.
Aerodynamic. Are your arms bigger than your brother-in-law's? AJ Hawk.
What's weird about him? He doesn't wear any cutoffs or T-shirts, so you don't really know. It's almost impossible. Like, seriously, if you go look through the photos, he always wears long sleeves, so no one really knows.
Are you saying your brother-in-law is ashamed of his arms?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
It feels like that.
I don't know what it is. It does feel a little bit like it.
Well, ask your sister, Brady.
That's not really like conversation that comes up very often in our family. Comparing biceps.
I'm going to say your biceps are bigger. I'm going to say that yours are bigger than AJ Hawk's.
I'd like to think so, DP. But, I mean, like I said, it's not like that comes up when you're sitting at dinner across the table.
Yeah, but if you were
how big are your biceps, by the way?
If you were a Gronkowski, that would come up in just about every dinner. There's no shirts on when the Gronkowskis sit down. Hats on backwards, and, beer bongs for everybody and turkey dinner.
Yeah, and they don't use any eating utensils. They just use their hands. Yeah, I could see that. But with our family, it's not exactly the same. I think we're a little bit more civilized, I'd like to think.
All right. If you get a tape measure I can make it happen at UCLA, but see if you can measure the guns for me.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I was gonna say, if you want to pop on down to UCLA, I'll do a couple push-ups and we'll figure it out.
You know what? Maybe during the game, drop your arm size. Just no one's going to know. Just like a subtle, by the way, Josh Rosen, my guns are 18. Like, just do something like that. That guy's got skinny arms. Mine are 18 inches.
Now, do you hold it against quarterbacks who have skinny arms, DP?
No, that's me. I mean, I'm sinewy. Hey, it's great to talk to you. Have fun out there. We'll be watching.
Always fun. Thanks.